Alright, welcome back to Flight Sim 2020 and welcome back to the A2A Comanche 250 and episode 4 of our Australia to South Africa trip, where it is a beautiful late afternoon here at Mount Magnet, where we finished off in the previous episode. And because it is late afternoon, today's flight is going to be a little bit shorter than the other legs that we've done so far, because we're just going to do about a 45-minute flight from here up to Meekatharra, which is where we kind of intended to finish in the previous episode, but because of the strong headwinds, I didn't want to risk it in terms of fuel, which was definitely the right decision, because we're going to need to put in some fuel here before we leave, because we are quite low. Less than a quarter tank. Well, both tip tanks are finished, and we've got significantly less than a quarter tank in our two main tanks. In fact, our right main tank is almost empty. So definitely the right decision that I made in the previous episode. But that's the plan for today. So we want to try and get in before dark. I mean, the sun is still fairly high in the sky. It's less than an hour's flight, so I reckon we'll be fine in terms of time. Okay, obviously the weather is quite a bit better than what it was when we started in the previous episode, but let's then jump aboard and start going through our prep. So let's actually just get the tablet and we can go through our checklist. It is properly hot today, so let's maybe crack this open for a bit. I don't know if that's even going to make a difference because it's 35 degrees outside, but we'll leave the door open while we do our pre-flight and stuff. So first thing we need to do obviously is the pre-flight. So what I do want to do, just so we can actually check, is just check the lights while we do this as well, because I haven't done that on every single flight, but I think every now and then we should just kind of do that. So to start off with, check our flaps so we can see the strobe lights is working. Maybe we should just go and check the lights first. Landing lights are definitely working. Same on that side. Nav lights are on, nav lights are on, and the strobe is obviously working. We've got these lights at the back, and then our obviously is good. Right, I think I should then switch this off just so that we don't waste the battery. And then we can go through the rest. So flaps, that looks nice and smooth. That moves okay with no weird sticking or anything. Aileron, same thing. Okay, fuel. We're gonna have to fuel up. Maybe we should actually do that first. So I think, to be honest, we should just fill this right up. What if I just do this? Will it fill everything up? Cool. I don't know if we can update this until that's switched on, but anyway. So now we can actually come in here and check that we do have all of our fuel in there. That's cool. Oops, I did that a bit quickly. Right, let's go back to the walk around and come here and drain. Still waiting for the day we actually find some water in the fuel. Come on. There you go. That's good. So we've checked the lights. Tie downs I've already taken off. Check that we actually have some fuel in here. Yep, that's nice and full. That's so cool, the little sounds I have for that. Okay, chocks, as you can see, I've already taken out. Again, that looks pretty good. Let's close it. Hello? Go on and close it. There we go. Right. Prop looks fine. Nothing weird in there either. Okay, the oil, because of all the rain and stuff last time, it kind of looks okay. Yeah, I reckon that's fine. We don't need to change that, and the level's alright. Okay, and then finally this tank, which should be full as well now. Cool. Okay, chocks are already done. Pitot tube and tie downs are done this side. Lights we checked. I suppose we checked this tip tank too. It's kind of weird. I think that's just the textures, because you can see like this is just plain black. I think that's to do with this livery that I have. Okay, we'll test this tank. Cool. Flaps again. Oh, sorry, ailerons first, then flaps. That feels perfectly fine. Same thing there, not loose, not sticking, not squeaking. Ports clear. Stabilizer is good. That's also clear. And then our baggage is already loaded up as usual. Right. And then we can just carry on going through the checklist. 35 degrees in here. So let's get the engine fired up as soon as possible. 13 knots of wind, so not as bad as when we came in. So that's cool. Pre-flight to passengers, seatbelts, control lock, parking brake, gear switch. Let's check that. Flaps up, radios off, autopilot off and off for the avionics, and all other electrical switches. Let's check circuit breakers. None of them have popped out because you'll see like a little white band. And then rotating beacon is on. Okay, fuel selectors. We'll stay on the left, that's fine because we're full up now anyway. Mixture and prop. I always say those in the opposite direction to what I... opposite order to what I actually set them. Just the way it is on my HOTAS. Carb heaters off. Master switch on. Fuel pump on. Check for fuel pressure. Those gauges have come up now, which is good. Primer, probably give it 3. We flew this morning. Oh, that's... I did 4. I actually meant to do that. Okay, oil, fuel pressure is good. So we can turn that off. Mags to both. Prop area. Cool. Let's close the door. And latch it. And then a little bit of throttle. And hit the start button. Right, see that rises, that should rise as well. We've already got pressure and the battery is charging. So let's switch on the avionics. Okay, then we need to come down here and say our refuel. We filled with 90, so we can say that. Right, our route should be already loaded up, but it is literally just direct from here to YMEK. And I think we're pretty much done. We've leaned the mixture. Prime is locked. Avionics master is on. Radios, that's what we need to do. Turn these guys on. And that on. Transponder. We'll just set that to altitude. It's the easiest. Altimeter is now set. Heading indicator. Let's come down here. That's probably easier. So we are 180, 160, 170. Well, where did I get that? So 157-ish. So that's be about there. So that's cool. This, we're going pretty much behind us. So I'll set that once we get to the runway a bit more accurately. The wind is coming from behind, so we're going to backtrack down the runway a bit. Mind you, how much there is, no, let's maybe be safe and just backtrack rather. Yeah, I'll kind of judge it when we get to the runway and see how much there is. Right. Landing gear lamp is green. Nav lights are on. Parking brake, let's release. Test the brakes. Right, and then we can start our taxi out. Hey, that vehicle didn't drive into... Oh, where did it go? Oh, out that way. Cool. At least he didn't drive into us for once. There's quite a lot of runway, actually. I think we could take off from the intersection. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Plenty. Okay, so we'll bump this up to 2,000. About like that. Okay, brakes are holding, fuel quantity, good, everything's full up. We probably should check these two, which also say fuel, I hope they say fuel. They say full. Okay, mixture rich, and we can just back off, throttle a bit to get that RPM correct. Right, everything is in the green. That's come up into the green now, which is good. So let's go down one. That is a huge drop. Okay, so we're gonna have to go and replace that. That's not gonna work. So we have a maximum drop of 125. We've gone from 2,000 down to 1,670. So that's over 300. Other magneto. This one's fine. So look at that. That's only dropped 70. So our right magneto is not happy at all. All right. That's gonna cost us a little bit of time. Obviously in the game it's instant, but what I'll do is bump the time up a little bit to kind of simulate. So we'll change the magneto and then I'll just adjust the time, because in reality it would take a bit of time for them to swap out the magneto, or whatever they have to do, fix it somehow. Okay, so we might as well switch this off. And I guess we can bring these back and switch this off. Right, so we need to come here. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to analyze the things that... Well, now we kind of have to check the engine, I guess, but I'm not going to analyze the entire airframe and everything, because we haven't picked up any issues with that. So let's have an inspection. Oh. Hang on. Oh, it is left on that side. I was going to say, it's the other way around. So it's left and then right. So there definitely is an issue with that. So I think we should get that fixed. Right. So let's just head back here. And then I'm going to advance the time quickly. And I'll see you in a bit. Just to kind of simulate that they've come and replaced that or overhauled it, as they say. Okay, great. As you can see, that's taken a bit of time. And the sun is now starting to set. So that is a bit of a worry. I think we'll be fine getting into Meekatharra at night. I just don't want to fly in full-on nighttime because out here, there's no towns and things to give you visual reference of where you are. So it becomes quite difficult flying in the pitch dark, especially if we were to have an engine failure or something like that. I wonder if we actually need to prime it again because we had the engine running sort of 20-30 minutes ago. Okay, take 2. Let's give this a chance to initialize. We're still good on our alignment. And we'll head back to the runway again and do the run up, and hopefully now we should see everything looking good. Yeah, another opportunity for the van to drive into us, which he looks like he isn't going to take, which is great. Wind is still in the same direction. In fact, it looks like it might even be a little bit more directly down the runway, which is good. But yeah, sun is now properly low, so we need to kind of get a move on here. I need to get into the habit of opening that page so that I don't forget to set that once we go onto the runway. Okay, so everything running in the green. Fuel pressure, oil temperature, cylinder head temperature, oil pressure, fuel feels good. Brakes are obviously holding. So let's now do our test. This will be the defining moment. Ooh, it's still not great. It's a bit worrying. That's still 210. Okay, now 200 drop. This one is fine. So our right magneto is fine. Our left one is still not 100%. So I think we're gonna fly with that today. Keep an eye on it, and at Meekatharra we might have to have it replaced again. That's very weird. That one's perfectly fine. This one is more than 200 RPM drop. Okay, that's not good. Right, bring this back to 1800. And what was the other thing? Oh yes, carb heat. See that we get that RPM drop. So that's cool, and then we can cycle the prop 3 times. Right, and then we definitely want to get some air in here. Put our headphones on now that we're done with the run-up and we needed to listen to things. Just see if we can get this cooled down a little bit. It's probably not going to make any difference because it's super hot outside. That's actually the problem. Probably should have backed that throttle off a bit more than I did there. I think, especially now considering we have a dodgy magneto, let's do a bit of a backtrack. We're going to go all the way down so that we have as much runway as possible. So like when I advance that to full throttle, and after a little bit of time, if that thing goes, we might even be able to put it back down on the runway. Okay, so we've done that before takeoff. Controls, free, elevator trim. Did I reset that? I didn't last time, so that's kind of bad. Rudder is neutral. Doors latch, flaps up. Fuel selection, we're on the left-hand main tank. Double check that. Yes, that is correct. Fuel pump on for takeoff. Mixture full rich, prop full forward. Carb heat off, engine gauges. We checked during our run-up, everything's in the green. Strobes and landing lights are on. And then for takeoff, advance to full throttle, we rotate at 85. Make sure that everything's green, flaps up already, gear up and climb out at 105 miles per hour. And keep an eye open, particularly today, for an emergency landing area. We're climbing to 8,500 today. I think we're going to be landing in Meekatharra at night, or in the dark after the sun has set. Okay, lining up with the runway. I pretty much got the course bang on, so we're good to go. We just need to turn this on, get rid of this display. We can slowly go full throttle. Okay, engine instruments looking fine. Oh, bit of a gust there. Okay, there's 80 and 85. Okay, I want to climb out at 105. I'm keeping the gear down just in case. Well, we've still got runway left, so we can keep the gear down. Past the end of the runway, so gear can come up. And we're climbing way slower than we did in the previous episode because we're now heavy with all that fuel on board. Right, let's bring the manifold pressure back to 24. Prop back to 24, and we can start a right hand turn to join our GPS track. Yeah, just adjusting the mixture there as well. Right, about an hour's flight at this speed, but we're going to speed up once we get up to altitude. Alright, and that is goodbye to Mount Magnet. Cylinder 3 is a little hot. Is our course, so that's about there. Cylinder temperatures are now kind of under control. I had to put in a bit more mixture, but we can lean that out as we climb higher again. It's a beautiful evening out here. Some clouds in the distance. The weather that we flew through this morning is all out that way. Everything is still in the green. We can probably turn off our landing lights now. Up to 5,000. Climbing way slower than we did without all that fuel. Could have turned that off a bit sooner as well. Yeah, still saying about an hour. It feels like we've got a headwind again. I get our tablet out. What does it say? A little bit, just a few knots. Okay. 10 knots on the nose. Nice, our temperature inside is getting better. up to 6,000 feet. Engine's been running for 14 minutes. So at 15 I'm going to switch tanks, and then at 45 again we'll switch tanks again, but I don't think we'll get to that. We'll probably then, we're on the left tank now, so we'll probably run the right tank all the way to the airport. Compass seems to be not very well aligned. It's probably because we swung the aircraft around when we turned back to have our magneto looked at. So I'm gonna have to sync that now. Okay, let's first switch tanks. And I'm going to get the autopilot on just to keep it steady while I'm focusing on these gauges. Coming up to 7,000. Wait, we shouldn't be... Yeah, we should be odd, so it should be 7,500, not 8,500. Did that in the last video as well. Okay, let's see. So we're about just north of 2. I have a weird way of figuring this out. So something like that. Which makes way more sense with our GPS course. Okay, that's better. Right, just passed through 7,000 feet. We might as well set this on to GPS. No, this needs to change first, and then we can set that to GPS. And we're now pretty much bang on that course and coming up through 7,300. And everything is nice and smooth. All the instruments are in the green. Now on the right hand tank, right, and then we're coming up to 7.5, and now what will be interesting is when we level off here to see as our speed increases what sort of time we're actually dealing with. Okay, altitude hold is on. Now our speed should start coming up. You can see we've dropped from an hour to 49, and that is very quick coming down, which is awesome. Probably gonna have to adjust the trim shortly. Here we go. Trimming nose down as the aircraft speeds up. "42 minutes. The reason why I'm worried about that time is just because of the light. So the sun is almost, I mean, it's definitely setting, but we've still got decent light. Even once it goes below the horizon, we'll have a little bit of light. So I'm not too worried about, it's not the night flying that's the issue, it's just there's no landmarks around here at night. No cities. Or lights or anything that you could use to tell where you are. And more importantly, if we had to have an engine failure, There's no way you can see a safe place to put the aircraft down, so that's a bit of an issue. Right, kind of leveled out in terms of speed, with 36 minutes to go. Now we're still slowly increasing our speed. 133 knot ground speed, and we're at 20 manifold pressure, so I can probably put in a little bit more throttle, go to about 22. I'm going to keep our RPM at 2.4, and that'll give us a little bit of extra speed. Yeah, should definitely lean the mixture out now that we're a bit higher. That will give us, might even give us a bit more power because we're up above 5,000 feet, but it'll also just improve our fuel consumption. Just keeping an eye on the cylinder head temperatures, they're all good. Right, so we can probably have it somewhere like that, which gives us an endurance of 6.5 hours with just over 30 minutes to go to our destination. Right, I do also have the Meekatharra VOR dialed in, which it looks like we are already receiving. So that's good. Let's see if we dial this around. Probably, I should have actually gone the other way. So we can use this to kind of tell us that VR is basically dead ahead, because that is the same as that. Which confirms what our GPS is telling us, so that's... Okay, speed's kind of settled at 145, so 30 minutes to go. Just looking at the charts for the airport. Oh, there's a DME arrival. This tablet doesn't have charts on it, does it? I don't think it does. Cool if we could have our Navigraph charts here. Oh, it's actually getting quite cold in here. Let's close that and turn the heating on just a bit. So we're going to be doing runway 09, and we'll probably just do the VOR approach. It's got a DME arc. We probably don't really need... we sort of do actually. DME arcs mean I have to kind of think about how to do this. So it is the Meekatharra VOR, which is 112.9. We've got that set. So the initial approach fix is on the 226 radial. So it's a 10 DME arc, which is pretty standard. 226 radial, we then turn to the left for us. And then at the 243 degree radial, we turn right to intercept 275 degrees to the Meekatharra VOR with our 5 DME. We should be at 3,309. So we will descend to 3,500 and maintain that until we actually get onto at 5.3 miles. We start our descent to be at 3390 by 5 miles. Okay, for the VR DME, we have two different minimas. One if we have an actual aerodrome weather report, and one if it's forecasted. So do we have weather? We don't. So we'd have to use the other minimums, which is so that gives us a minima of 2260. Okay, so now I just need to think about how to do DME arcs. Okay, so I guess we dial this to 226, because that's our initial point. So that'll be 225. So it's about there. And then once we cross that, in fact, it's going to be easier to use this. So this, I'm going to set to 075. Because that is the final radial that we need to join. So we can use that to line up with that. Then, I mean, we could probably just stay on the heading we're on at the moment. If needed, and I can mess with this now. So this one will dial to 226. Because then we can use our heading bug to make sure we're flying perpendicular to this. So that's 24, that's 21, that's 22, there's 225, 226. So, as we get closer, we're going to turn to perpendicular to this course line. And when that lines up, we then dial our heading 10 degrees right and our course 10 degrees right. And we keep doing that until we get onto 243. So we're not probably only going to do it once, and then the next one on 243, we then turn right to line up with this at 075. That's my plan. So yeah, once we start getting a bit closer here, we just need to turn onto that perpendicular course, which is about what? 346. How did I get 340? 326. Right, and it is starting to get dark. The sun is most decidedly set. And it's going to be even worse as we descend. Oh, the sun is now gone. So we still have a bit of light, so I'm not too worried, but it is going to be a bit darker when we descend because the sun's further below the horizon. But we've got about another 22 minutes to fly. So we're definitely going to be landing in the dark. Dear me, ARC in the dark. Loads of fun. I've done DME arcs a few times. It's always so long in between doing them that I've got to kind of just sit and think it through how to actually do it. Right, temperatures are fine. Everything is good. We're at 30 minutes now, so another 15 minutes and then we'll switch tanks. So we'll probably switch tanks then just before we start on the approach, because we've got 20 minutes to go. Otherwise everything else is in the green. Cylinder temperatures are good. 5 and 6 are a little high, but I think that's normal because this 1 and 2 are in the front of the engine and it goes further back, so you can see the temperature goes up because they get less air, I think. Is that how that works? What is this gauge here? Oh, EGT. Right, so now we've basically just got about probably 12, 13, 15 minutes to go, and then we start on that approach. But we'll obviously have to descend before that, so we do a bit of a calculation. We're at 7.5 and we need to go to 3.5, so that's a 4,000 foot change. So let's put in that 4,000 feet. Our ground speed is about, let's say, 140, and we want to descend at 1,000 feet a minute, so we need to do that. Well, our actual descent would be about 750 per minute at 12.6 miles. Like a genius, in the previous episode I took away the display that gives us the distance because I wanted to see the time to our final waypoint and the time to our current waypoint. So that's ETA destination, or ET. So 18 minutes to our destination, 18 minutes to our next waypoint, which just happened to be the same. So if we go, no, that's not what I wanted, that's what I wanted. Let's get our distance back here because that's going to be important. 44 miles. So at about 12 miles we can start descending down to 3.5. I do need to try and get at least some sort of weather information. I mean, we're not going to have any issues with clouds or rain or anything, but do need to know the altimeter setting. So let's see if I can find that. Navigraph doesn't have it. And neither does Windy, so... What do we do? Base it off of and just keep the altimeter the same as where we departed? What was that again? 1005. If I look on Navigraph, we can use the weather display to show us. It kind of puts it on the map like contour lines for the QNH. Where is that? Meta. No, man, that's the wrong one. No, it is in here. No, it's not. Pressure, there we go. So, this whole area is showing 100. So maybe we should do that. We'll do 1008 going into Meekatharra. I think that's our best kind of educated guess. Nice and dark out that way. A little bit of light still behind us. We probably would have been landing around now in terms of light. Probably maybe already landed. We didn't have to fix our magneto. Okay, 35 minutes on the clock for engine running. So another 10 minutes and we'll switch tanks. Jeez, I forgot I changed this to distance. I looked, I'm like, how are we at 38 minutes now? We were at like 16 just now. We're at 15:45. Ground speed is sitting perfectly steady at 145. Which is about 150 miles on the dial. I literally only just realized that we had a display that gives us knots. So what are we, about 132 knots? Okay, while we're looking at this, we might as well check the alignment, because that's going to be important when we start doing DME arcs, that this is correct. So we are in between the 2 and the 5. I don't know why I don't just use numbers. So this, let's get this heading indicator out the way for now. In fact, we should dial this over here, because this is what we're going to use for the arc. So that would be 1. That would be... Yeah, so we're basically fine. We should maybe be a little bit over, like that. Perfect. Okay, 34 miles to go, 14 minutes. $38 on the clock. Right, what we need is our DME. So distance 32 miles. Because this is going to give us the distance to the airport. I also just want the distance to VOR so we can use that for our DME. So probably like 11 DME, we turn left to where our heading bug is now. Maybe a whole mile might be too much at 140 knots. Half a mile? To do not 11.5, 10.5 on this display. We'll flip it into heading mode and do that, and then also switch this over to our VOR. Then keep an eye when we line up with that. It's then 10 degrees, 10 degrees. So 10 degrees, 10 degrees. So the first one is 226. So 10 will be 236. So we'll do that once, and then we go to 24, because another 10 would be 246. We don't need to go all the way to that. We need to go to 243, and then at that point we start our right-hand turn to 75, which we've got set there, which I'll dial in here as well, but we've got it there already. And it's getting nice and dark quickly. But you can see what I mean. Like, if we look out this way, there's no lights. There's one road out this way, which doesn't give you much of a visual reference. But I mean, there is nothing. So when you can't see what's on the ground there, we wouldn't be able to land safely at all. Okay, just over 11 minutes, 27 miles. Let's check in and see how our temperature is. Hey, that's cool. Again, in reality, you wouldn't have to do this because you could just feel if it's too hot or too cold. So I'll just keep checking in here. Just make sure that our cabin's at 22, 23-ish degrees. But I think I've got all the instrument lights on. We turn this off. We just have instrument lights. Okay, cool. And GPS is very bright. Does that have a brightness control? Damn. I thought that's exactly what I was looking for, but that's the map detail. System. Backlight. Auto. 12. That's better. So why doesn't auto... Okay, so it did dim a little bit. Not really enough. Okay, passing over this big lake here. I mean, the engine's running nice and smoothly, so we haven't had any issues. We've still got 6.5 hours endurance. 12.3 gallons per hour. Battery's good. We've used about 10 gallons of fuel. Right, 43 on the clock, so coming up to time to switch tanks, which is perfect, so we can switch to a fuller tank just before we begin our approach. I wonder, are these the only lights we have? That's actually coming from that gear light. That's all we've got there. I think that's it. And then if you want more, you turn this on. We've also got the red one, I guess. So that's a bit better for your proper night flying. Can have this on for now. That's cool. It's just, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to see outside with that on. But to be honest, for most of our approach, we're going to be looking inside anyway, because we're doing an instrument approach. Okay, distance 19 miles. coming up to 45 minutes. And we're at 18 miles. So again, about 12 miles, 13 miles, we'll start that descent. We've obviously used more out of our right-hand tank, which makes sense because we ran the left tank for 15 minutes and some of that time was on the ground where we're not at, you know, climb or cruise power. And then the right-hand tank we've now run for half an hour, so let's switch over. I'll save the tip tanks for a longer flight, which will probably be what we do on the next leg. Okay, so I think we'll stay on the tank we're on now, so our left-hand tank for landing. We've got plenty of fuel in it, so that should be all good. We're just coming up to 14.5 miles, so almost time to start the descent. And that point there is actually our initial point. So let's see how kind of close we can get to this. We could load this procedure into the GPS and have the autopilot do that, but I mean, we're gonna use the autopilot in heading mode, but I'm gonna be doing this manually, not using the GPS course. Okay, let's start descending. So we'll disengage this. And we can back off the power just a bit. Yeah, I'm going to descend a little faster because obviously it's 12 miles to the airport, but this waypoint is a lot closer than that. So we're at 11.5. At 10.5, I'm going to switch to heading mode. Which is about there. Oops. Okay, into heading mode, and then let's dial this to 1008 like we said. Okay, and this now comes over to VOR. Alright, so I should have turned earlier because we're going very fast now. So we've gone over the kind of 10 miles, so we need to dial this way a bit. Probably a bit more than that. So 236 is where I'm going to dial the heading to once we touch that course line, which is coming up now. And I think I'm going to actually increase that a bit because we're still a bit close. So sorry, decrease. We'll stay 220. Yeah, which is about there. So let's do 320, and we'll do 10 degrees there. Yeah, now time to level off at 3,500 feet. Which is going to cause our speed to come down quite a bit. Yeah, 9 miles, so we're a little bit too close on our DMER. And that's just because I don't practice this enough. Right, I'm going to dial this now to 243. Yeah, and we're coming up to that now. So let's dial this around to 75. So there's 60, 75. And we can start our turn to intercept that. Yeah, I'm also going to go full mixture and full prop now. Can we see the runway? Yes, we can. I've dropped a little bit more altitude than I actually wanted to. Hey, that's the moon coming up over there. Okay, I'm gonna ditch the autopilot so we can control all of this ourselves. Because actually descending a lot quicker than I wanted to. Okay, so that 5 DME, let's get flaps in. That 5 DME, we should be at 3,390. So yeah, we're definitely below where we should be. See the runway at least, and you can see what I mean about it being dark here at night. There's no visual references up at all. Okay, so because this is a VOR approach to a VOR that is a bit offset from the runway, it doesn't exactly line up, so it's not like an ILS where that 75 radial is going to put us exactly in line with the runway. It's not. So once we start that right hand turn, I'm going to just line up visually with the runway. 6 miles now, and we're at 3,250. Okay, because there's our 75-degree radial, but it's not going to put us exactly in line with the runway, so I'm just going to stay visual for now. Okay, there's our 5 miles. Let's get the gear down and some more flaps in, and we can slowly start descending. Okay, minimums again 2260, but we already have the runway in sight, so not going to worry about that. Okay, we probably should have done this earlier, and we can turn our fuel pump on as well. Okay, fuel's good, engine gauges all look good, gear down, flap set. Why does it look like the carb heat is a bit on? Okay, it's on. Landing lights are on, strobes on. I think we are all set. Whoa. Okay, there's no puppy or anything, so I feel like we're a bit high. It's like quite a narrow runway as well. I mean, you could see how you could so easily just fly into the ground like this because it's just a black void. Hopefully once we get a bit closer to the ground, our landing lights will give us a bit of a cue as to how close we are to the runway. So we're descending quite fast still. There, our landing lights are starting to illuminate the ground. And our strobes on the ground as well. And there we are. Touchdown at Meekatharra. Flaps up. Yeah, this is the apron on the right. Turn off the strobes, turn off the fuel pump. Flaps are up. Let's lean our mixture a bit on the ground. Reset our trim to neutral. Oh, we had quite a lot of nose up trim. Now there's a long taxiway out that way to like a little apron. It doesn't look like the flight sim matches the charts exactly though, to be honest, which is kind of common for some of these smaller airports. So I think we're just going to pick somewhere here on the apron and park it up for the night. Not actually sure where this goes. So I think we'll just do something like this. Right, but there we are, safely arrived at Meekatharra. We've got a cool moonrise in the distance. Okay, fuel pumps off. We can turn off the landing lights now. Beacon can stay on. Magnetos to off. Radios. 60 minutes engine running time. Pretty cool. That one and that one. Avionics. Autopilot. And then let's see. Wow, 37 degrees inside here. Oh, great, because that's also because I do have this on. So let's get a bit of air. Well, it's 34 degrees outside. I mean, the sun's gone down. It's 34 degrees outside. That's ridiculous. Okay, so landing done. After landing, flap strobes, fuel pump, mixture, trim, parking brake, radios, transponder. Well, it's off now, I suppose. Throttle, mixture, magnetos, control wheel. How do I do this again? Oh, right. Yeah. I'm thinking of the PC-12 where you click over here. Doors, windows, tie downs we need to do. But rather than do the whole thing, I'm just going to do it over here. Tie downs and chocks because it's easier to cover. That's all set. Cool. We can put that away. And we'll probably turn off the master. Like so. And then we can jump out and close the door. I'm guessing that doesn't seal when you're outside. Would make sense. Yeah, let's see if we can see our moonrise. There we go. Do something like that. Right, but then we are safely arrived at Meekatharra. Nice, roughly 1 hour flight. With a little bit of a return to sort out our magneto, which is still giving us issues. So I'm going to have to check that before we start the next leg. But again, that's going to bring us to the end of episode 4. So leg 4 of our trip from Australia to South Africa in the A2A Comanche 250. If you did enjoy the video and you want to follow along, you know what to do down below, and I'll see you in the next one.